Proverbs chapter 2, verses 16 through 19 says, "Wisdom will save you from the adulteress, from the wayward wife with her seductive words, who has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made before God. For her house leads down to death, and her paths to the spirits of the dead. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life." In the previous verses of Proverbs 2, we learned that wisdom will guard us in particular from those who practice wrong and sinful behavior contrary to God's will and His wisdom. There they are described as wicked. Today we learn that as we acquire and follow God's wisdom, He will also protect us from deadly sexual sin. We are told that God will protect us from the adulteress. Solomon is speaking to his son, and therefore the primary object of temptation to sexual sin would be a female adulteress. Were he talking to his daughter, it would be the male adulterer. In either case, they represent a temptation to find life and pleasure in an act of sexual sin that is outside God's wise and godly design, so that it is enjoyed only in the context of a committed relationship in which a covenant is made before God between one man and one woman for their lifetime. Any other act of sexual expression is outside the will of God. It's not wise and ultimately will not lead to life, but will bring some form of death into those who practice sexual expression outside of marriage. Listen carefully. There is great pleasure in sin, particularly sexual sin, but as God has wisely said, it only lasts a season. If sexual relationships are practiced outside of God's ordained marriage between a man and a woman for their lifetime, the season of pleasure will end, and you will always experience some form of death in every following season thereafter. And without a Savior, it will be for eternity. Death will be evident in your life, in the life of the person you share that experience with, the life of your marriage, your family, your church, and your community. Do not be deceived. You cannot violate the design of the designer and enjoy delight. If you would know life in all of its fullness, be wise and bring all sexual expression into the will of God and enjoy His blessing as a result.